What are the principles, the main principles of the law of attraction?
Well, the idea is that we're all creating our own reality as we move through this sort of field of consciousness, that we're all God, and that our I amness is creating our experience. So, of course, I first got exposed to this, back in 2006. I watched The Secret, and originally I felt like something in it, resonated with me, but it also seemed kind of slick and a little gimmicky, and I just thought, this is too good to be true, My wife and I, we experimented with those ideas, and we believed it, but, then after a few years, we're like, this is crazy. This stuff, it's all wishful thinking. You just have to work hard, grindstone, it's got to face the facts, the hard reality of life. But when we did that and we sort of gave up on the whole idea of the law of attraction, we dismissed it as being crazy, our lives became horrible and just really small and very limiting and very scary and fearful, and we became so unhappy. So we came back to it. And I discovered Neville Goddard, who I think is the greatest spiritual teacher I've ever read. He's either absolutely crazy or he's a spiritual genius. And I go back and forth, but I really do think he was a spiritual genius. I think he's amazing. And he reinterprets the Bible in a wholly different way in terms of the law of attraction, and that we're all God, that the Bible is a psychological journey. All the characters in the Bible are different states of consciousness that we can move through. They're just different personifications of states that we all move through, and that we're all moving towards that state of Christ consciousness, that we're all moving towards that. And that just shook me up, to read that. The whole Bible just became new and alive and dynamic. I grew up in a Protestant faith tradition. It means so much to me. But I discovered him a couple years ago, and I've been reading him just nonstop and listening to him, on YouTube. And he's wonderful. And that has reinterpreted, made the law of attraction very alive to me, that we create our own reality because we're all God, we're all divine, and that there is no external reality. And there is no objective reality. And I know that's provocative and frightening to some people, but I do think there is objective truth. I believe in science. I believe in facts. I believe in objective truth and right and wrong. But I don't think there's an objective reality. I think we're all creating that as we move through this field of consciousness. And we are at the center of that. We are all God. The I am within us is God. And then when you say, I am that, that's the Son. And that's the manifestation. That's the Christ. And we're all that. We're all discovering that within ourselves, the divinity within ourselves. And when you realize that, it's like, oh my gosh, you can really do anything you want. The sky's the limit if you really believe. And I really do believe that. I've seen it in my own life throughout this whole terrible, terrible year. Is anytime I just focus on my divinity without fear, everything works out. It really does. Everything works out. And I don't think we have to be scared or feel like it's taboo or frightening to admit that we are all divine. And just have faith in that.
Freedom. What is freedom to you? What is to be free?
So for me, freedom is to realize that you do have a choice. You have a choice as to what thought you're going to think. You have a choice as to what emotion you're going to engage in. And I think when you don't have that choice, you're not free. You're just a bundle of reactions. You're not free until you realize that you have a choice, until you have enough presence power, enough space within you to say, you know what, I'm not going to think this thought. I'm not going to engage this emotion, even though I want to, even though I'm angry, even though I want to, it feels good, to think, wait a second, do I really want to say this? Do I really want to think this? Do I really want to feel this? Is this helping me right now? That's freedom to me. I didn't have that for many years. It wasn't until I got older that I realized I have a choice as to what thought I have and to what emotion I have. And so that's freedom, when you realize you can choose.
Believing in yourself. How do we even begin doing that for those who don't have any self-esteem or very low self-esteem, and it's always doubting oneself?
Yeah, so for me, this is in, the whole idea in the Bible about turning the other cheek. I don't think that has anything to do with external conduct. And, if people are mean to you, you have to stand up for yourself. Turning the other cheek has nothing to do with external conduct of your life. I think it's very important to stand up for yourself. I think that idea of turning the other cheek is to become translucent and yielding to those negative thoughts when they arise. And we all have them, especially if you have low self-esteem, and when you try and do something positive, you try to go to the gym or stand up for yourself or do something that affirms your worth, you're going to encounter those voices in your head that are trying to restore equilibrium and homeostasis and say, who do you think you are? You're nobody. You shouldn't go to the gym. You shouldn't stand up for yourself. Who are you? That's the terrible thing. I think we all have that. And that's when you turn the other cheek, you inwardly, you become translucent and you become invisible to those thoughts. You arise above them. Because if you engage with those thoughts, in my experience, they get worse. They just get worse. And you start battling them, you start fighting them, and they become a monster. And then you don't go to the gym and you don't do the thing that helps you. So for me, I just sort of become invisible. I try to rise above those thoughts. And it's not like a tough thing. It's like a yielding. It's a very soft kind of passive, sort of a very soft process of like, oh no, I see those thoughts and I just let them go right through me. And then I'm able to do that thing that I promised I would, whatever it is that makes me feel better about myself. So I think that's what it is. It's to be soft and translucent and invisible when you are barraged by those negative thoughts, as we all are.
That connection between your book title, Comedy and Self-Help, how did you connect them?
I know, it's kind of like two different books in one. Right. You got to have a sense of humor about the difficult things in life. If you can hold on to your sense of humor, and I've tried to keep my sense of humor in the most difficult things, if you can hold on to that, you can keep your sanity, because our sense of humor, it just keeps us human. It keeps us our perspective on everything. And so the book, it started out as a way for me to process this terrible experience I was going through. I had graduated, I'd finished my graduate program in Washington, D.C. It was a bad recession. This was 2003, and I was also just trying to find these jobs that weren't right. I was an artist, and I was trying to fit in this world of politics, of confrontation, and I was losing my mind. It was a terrible experience. So I had to write about it, and so I wrote about it as a way just to stay sane and to laugh about it. For me, humor is the great way of diffusing tension. So I wrote all the early chapters, which are just sort of outlandish and over the top for fun, and as a way to kind of find common ground with that difficult experience of looking for a job. But then as I got more into the book, and as I had this experience of moving to California and becoming a piano teacher, a musician, and putting into practice these ideas of the law of attraction, and that's how I met my wife, and everything just became wonderful and miraculous. When I trusted my heart, I thought, I want to put this in the book too. I don't want my book to just be a silly comic, comedic book. I want it to say something too, and I thought, why not combine genres? Why can't you be funny and be serious at the same time? So that's the book. It starts out as just funny, and it's just like, let's enjoy this common experience and how crazy it is, and let's just laugh about job hunting because it's so stressful. But then I wanted to give the reader something, an insight, what I believe to be true. And so that's where it eventually lands. It goes into those later chapters about believing in yourself, imagination, creating reality, having faith, and believing your hard work, of course, but also, just having faith, believing in the goodness of the universe.